You are watching the Atlanta Braves Fan Show on Fan Media Network. Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan Siegel, joined alongside, as always, with Gardie and Gardie. It is the halfway point of the season. It is the All-Star break, the Home Run Derby, the T-Mobile Home Run Derby. Lord knows the sponsor needs its dollars. The T-Mobile Home Run Derby is set to take place tonight, Monday, July 18th. But before we even get into All-Star news, let's take a look at the Tomahawks. The Braves have been hot since June 1 when they really got on us and we really got on them about just being average and not beating teams. They got on us then by making us eat our words very promptly. The Braves 31-11 since June 1. In the month of July, pretty much picking up a series win in every series they've played with the exception of one against the New York Mets. Braves still sitting 2.5 games back on the New York Mets. But Gardie, again, we talked about this and the Braves are doing it and certainly doing it in spades, picking up series wins against teams they need to beat.
Of course. Yeah, that's what they need to do. As I said to you pre-show, yes, we had that little bit of a hiccup. We lost 2 out of 3 to the New York Mets in New York. No, not New York, in Atlanta. Sorry, screwed that one up. But we lost 2 out of 3. But as I said to you, the Mets are 6-4 over their last 10, and the Braves are 7-3. So at the end of the day, yeah, we lost 2 games in the loss column to them in that series, but we already just picked one up. So realistically, we split in the series. So, and to what you were just saying, they listen to us. Clearly, someone in that clubhouse is listening to our show, letting them know what we're saying. But on top of that, here's something that is a great way of looking at this. We just talked about how great they're doing right now, their record right now, how many games they're over 20 games over 500 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Think about that. Let's look at where they were after the last game going into the All-Star break last year. They were 44-45, a game below 500. And that 2 days before that, they had lost Ronald Acuna Jr. for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. And what are we seeing right now, Ryan? Ronald Acuna Jr. finally coming in to his shape where he was when he tore his ACL at the end, right before the All-Star break last season. There's a lot of good things. Michael Harris II is electric. That guy is awesome in the outfield. They are playing good baseball. They are beating the teams that they need to beat. Kenley Jansen has come back. Max Fried is lighting it up. There's a reason the Atlanta Braves are tied for the most across both leagues, but have the most players in the All-Star game for the National League. 6. Ronald Acuna Jr., Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, Max Fried, Travis d'Arnaud, Willie Contreras. Willie Contreras also making a little bit of a splash with his brother Wilson as both of them are starting an All-Star game together for the first time. Pretty cool. Family moments. Doesn't get better than that. But the real thing here, Rise, they are beating teams they need to beat. They're beating the Marlins. They're beating the Nationals. So it's okay. Guys, don't freak out. It's early July. They're going to beat the Mets. It's the Mets.
You're absolutely right. It's the Braves, as you mentioned, 44-45 and lost Ronald Acuna Jr. Now going into this All-Star break, 56-38. So well above 500, 7-3 in their last 10. And Ronald Acuna Jr. is competing in the Home Run Derby tonight against a New York Met, Pete Alonso, former world Home Run Derby champion in Pete Alonso. So again, Acuna Jr., his kind of coming out party, coming back to the All-Star stage after his injury, as a very gruesome ACL injury last year. But again, just kind of going through it, even in the month of July, Austin Riley has emerged to be, in my opinion, a perennial All-Star. This is the first of many for Austin Riley, hitting 400 in the month of July with 9 home runs and 18 RBIs in 17 games. Phil Gosselin playing second base. Again, Phil Gosselin coming out of nowhere, hitting 375. Braves also picked up a former person that we are familiar with growing up in the New York area, Robinson Cano. The Braves are now Robinson Cano is now in Atlanta Brave. Start a little bit of a slow start, but having that veteran leadership in the middle of the infield at second base. Again, Matt Olson hitting 264 in the month of July. Willie Contreras hitting 241. Dansby hitting 306. Adam Duvall hitting 296. So again, getting production up and down the lineup, Gardie. And it's something that, going forward, this Braves team's really going to need. And I think if we were to look ahead here now, 56 and 38, 2.5 games back on the New York Mets. What do you think is going to be the key going forward here, Gardie? Because again, great pitching at the top of the rotation, overall pretty consistent hitting. Where do you think the Braves need to go from here?
I think they just need to keep building, and they need to, like, that's what I keep saying. That's what I meant about it. It's early July, it's pre-All-Star break, and it's the Mets. First of all, let's just take a step back and, like, it's the Mets. Something's gonna happen.
A September surprise is right around the corner.
Famous for doing things like that, blowing 7-game leads with a week left in the season. But I think what they really need to do is they need to keep hitting, and they need to be getting production, not from just 1 through 4 in the lineup, but 7 through 9. And on top of that, they just need to keep building, because what we're seeing here is April, May weren't doing great. June, July, as we said, 33 and 11 since June 1st. So they're winning 3 games to every one they lose. That's awesome. They need to keep doing that. And then, but on top of that, it's not just about beating those teams that they should beat. Now that you got to go out there and beat teams that they should beat, but maybe not as much, or maybe it should be more of a 50-50. But the next time they play the Mets, they need to win the series. That's the key right now, is the New York Mets. The great thing about where the Atlanta Braves are sitting is they do have that number 1 wild card spot by a decent amount, actually. But the issue is, the unfortunate reality is they do play in a division with the Mets, who are a very hot baseball team, the 2nd best record in the National League, I believe. So no matter what, right now, unless they bump up and beat the Mets, they're going to be sitting in that 4th spot in the come playoff time. I don't think in all reality anybody's catching the Dodgers and is taking their number 1 bye. But it would be a lot better to be sitting there in the 2 seed playing the 6 seed than being the 4 seed playing the 5 or playing whatever it is. So, I mean, I think that's the big, we need to, they're 2.5 games back, 3 in the loss column, but they need to just continue to hammer on that. I don't know about you, Rye, but I think that it's just building on what they've been doing and taking what they've been doing and actually doing that against the New York Mets.
I agree. It's all about building and, again, continuing to grow. And speaking of building, the Major League Baseball draft is going on as we speak out in Los Angeles. I have my own issues with the MLB draft. It is probably the least exciting draft to watch, and the NHL draft is not exciting to watch by any stretch of the imagination. I really think the NFL has cornered the market on, a production of a draft, with the NBA being right there at number 2. But Gardie, we talked about this pre-show. Right now they're in the 3rd round, but round 3 is not the 3rd round of picks. So to kind of go through this, we have round 1, which is the legitimate round 1. And we have round 1C. Couldn't even tell you what that means. Then we have CB round A. Again, couldn't tell you what that means. Then we go into round 2. Then we have CB round B, rounds 2C, round 3. So we've went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Round 3 is really round 7. And there's 20 rounds in the MLB draft. So Gardie, again, looking at just the Braves alone here, the Braves have made 5 picks as that their 3rd round pick just came off the board. Picking Owen Murphy out of Riverside Brookfield in Illinois, J.R. Ritchie in Bainbridge High School, Cole Phillips out of Bourne High School in Texas, Blake Burkhalter from Auburn, and Drake Baldwin from Missouri State. But Gardie, 5 picks, and they're somehow in round 3. And again, just the longevity of these things. When we're talking about the length of drafts, what's wrong with the MLB draft here?
I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with the MLB draft, because there's a lot of things wrong with Major League Baseball. I don't think we have enough time to discuss that. Here's my thing. First of all, anybody who actually watches a draft is a lemming. There's nothing exciting going on. Just follow along on your phone, see what players your team drafts, and then go watch their highlights.
And get your push alerts. Put your team. If you got your team push alerts on, that's all you need.
All you need. Because here's the thing: what are you doing when you're watching a draft? Like, people who go to the draft in person, I don't get it. You're literally paying good dollars to watch someone call a name for that person, may or may not be there, by the way, to walk up on stage and shake a hand. And then you sit there for 7 minutes waiting for the next
jersey.
pick.
Don't forget the jersey hold. Don't forget the jersey hold.
Oh, great. I saw a guy buy a jersey that I could buy on NFL.com and have in 2 days. Cool. But coming back to the Major League Draft in general, first of all, they should just break it down. Okay, we're going to do it because they already have an international draft, even though
they have multiple drafts. There's a Rule 5 draft for all the guys not signed on 40-mans. It's like I lose track of how many drafts there are. They should have a draft for the sake of a draft.
They should. They really should. But even with what you're saying about this, I guess it's the amateur draft. Okay, just group it all into one. Like, why do you need? You have the first round, which I guess can be anybody. Then there's CB1 is college baseball, and then I guess the other one is amateur.
I couldn't tell you. That's how many rounds there are. I couldn't tell you what round correlates to what.
We're talking about 7 times 3, 20. Wait, I did that math wrong. It's 3 rounds per times 20 rounds. 60 rounds?
Yeah.
And it's not even, they have 2 more drafts? What is going on?
Yes, currently they just entered the 4th round. And each pick, and the MLB website actually does a really good job of approximating pick value with each pick. So Jackson Holliday, son of Matt Holliday, went first overall to the Baltimore Orioles this year. His projected pick is $8.84 million. We are currently in round 4. We are now down to about $571,000 in approximate pick value. But again, I think that the biggest thing with this is just really kind of streamlining the process. Again, we're in the 8th round, the legitimate 8th round, but we're only in round 4. There's 16 more rounds to go. Again, to your point, and half of these people, once you get to round 5, 6, 7, and beyond, 90% of them, unless you go to a minor league baseball game, you're never going to see these guys play.
Or if not even that, they're going to end up getting redrafted in a Section 5 draft.
Yeah.
Right.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But like you said, we can go on with this for hours. So we'll spin back to the major leagues because, again, we could save our MLB draft discussion, or let's call it more of a bashing, for a later date. But again, it is the All-Star break. Home Run Derby takes place tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern at Dodger Stadium. Tomorrow will be the All-Star game between the American League and the National League. I've not seen who is starting for the American League, but Clayton Kershaw was just named the National League starter. Go figure. In Dodger Stadium, make the Dodger the All-Star game starter. And then the Braves will come home Friday for a 3-game set against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and then a 3-game set on the road in Philadelphia against those Fightin' Phils before coming back home to Truist Park and taking on the Diamondbacks. But again, this is a fan show. We want to hear from you, whether it's at home, on the road, in Truist Park, outside of Truist Park. We want to hear from you. Maybe we'll have you on. Maybe we'll hear about your fan story. We'll tell about it. Any information. Again, these Braves are on a roll, 31-11, 20 games above 500, breathing down the neck of those pesky Mets, and we want to hear from you about it. But thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Atlanta Braves Fan Show on Fan Media Network.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, create a profile in Fan Media Network. Then look for the news page in our website and fan show resources page. Help yourself. We give show hosts a show graphic in team colors, a simple short show format, tips on pre- and post-production, ideas to get fans and guests on your show, Apple News distribution and show sponsorship sales and services to help featured show hosts earn money. Show hosts use our iPhone app to publish their shows. Our website supports Android users.